everyone to our October meeting. Can you believe it's already October? Um, so we'll put on hold approval of our previous minutes since we do not have a quorum, and I don't believe we need to do roll call until we have a quorum. So I'll be brief because I think it would be great if we had time to have conversations about each committee member's current ideas and really goals and dreams for our work on this committee. So I think we could have a very constructive conversation today and share our ideas and how we might be able to support one another. So very quickly, we're making some progress with the We Built This planning, which we're doing. Of course, AAHI is sponsoring that wonderful project that's coming in February and March. We were invited to sponsor the project. It's been a good while now that HRC, Historic Resources Commission, invited us. So it would be ideal and perfect and wonderful and a great blessing if all of the committee members were to join the planning group. But I know everyone has commitments. So I'm sort of a liaison right now between our committee and HRC. And so I want to make sure that the types of things you would like to see happen and accomplish throughout those 2 months. We'll have the public history exhibition for 2 whole months, all of February, all of March. So we have lots of opportunities to organize events and all kinds of interesting activities to invite our broader community to come in and learn and contribute to this knowledge and the celebration of Black builders, Black buildings, and Black architects. And it would be a wonderful opportunity over those 2 months for us to, for each of our assigned sort of collection categories, to try to get people involved. So just want to plant that seed again. And I will let you know if another planning meeting comes up. I'll definitely invite everybody. We'll most likely meet via Zoom. But if anyone wants to meet with me to put some ideas out there or to request really for what we could integrate that you would lead, let me know. And we don't have to have a whole committee meeting about that. I could meet with folks individually. So I'm really excited about the We Built This. I think it's going to be very uplifting. We are also working on that reparative justice focus that Councilperson Scipio mentioned that would build upon what we did with the support of redlining. I have the names of some local Black architects who did graduate from A&T, so I'll be reaching out to them on behalf of us and inviting them to join maybe as lecturers or panel discussants or whatever they might want to do. So I'll keep you posted on that, but please, I really encourage you to join this planning group, or at least let me know how you would want us as a bigger committee to use those events so that you can accomplish your goals for this committee. Last of my items to report is the oral history course that we've had in the books at WSSU forever and ever. The class hasn't been taught since I arrived in 2006. It's now in the books, so we'll have a classroom full of beautiful, bright, inspired young people from Winston-Salem State that can help us with our oral history collections. So if now would be the time for you to send me an email and say, hey, could you integrate this part of a project that I have into that class? And I'll do that. and then the students, if they want to get a good grade, they'll have to support you and do what you would like them to do. You'll always be invited, welcome in that class. It'll be a face-to-face class, but if you want to come into the class, we could switch it to Zoom, so you wouldn't necessarily have to come to campus that day. And lastly, I have those running meetings with our interns on Fridays from 1 to 2, and you're always welcome to come. So if you want to come any given week, just shoot me an email. I'll send you the Zoom link. And if you want to bring a friend, even if you want to just come in and brainstorm with the students, that would be so wonderful, because they're going to learn from you. You are their elders, and you're the fountain of knowledge of what's happened in the Black community in here in Winston-Salem. So those are my official items to report, but I believe that either Ms. Allen Abraha or Dr. Christian will have the directors and staff reports. And then after that, I would like to engage us in conversation. I have a few things I'll bring to the table, but if you would like to initiate the conversation after all the official reports, that would be great. So we can move on to the director's report.
Well, so actually, the way that we are going to approach this today is Ms. Erica Simon is going to do our outreach updates, and then I will follow her with a few comments regarding equipment. So I'll go ahead and defer to Ms. Simon.
All right, good afternoon, all. Just want to let you know what has been going on and how we've been reaching out, what's been on our calendar. Just this last Saturday, we went to the Southeast Neighborhood Association International Day and Community Day. We did outreach with Fiesta at the beginning of September. Upcoming events: International Village, Corporating Plaza, October 21st. We will start with a naturalization ceremony at 11 a.m. where we will welcome new citizens. That will be from 11 to 12, and then from 12 until 5. We will have various performances. We have a couple of Latino groups. We have an Indian group, a Chinese group, all performers, and so we're very much looking forward to that. In addition, we will also be able to celebrate. Okay. Everybody has a test. We'll also be able to celebrate Wake Forest's homecoming with guests, as well as Salem State's homecoming with guests that day. So it's going to be an awesome, awesome festival. I'm very much looking forward to it. I do believe that ends for the year our outreach. We do have an open house, which is scheduled in December. So you'll get more information about that. But as far as outreach, the things on our outreach calendar, that's it for the year. So we want to close out the year with International Village, which is one of our key events.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Also, just want to, as a reminder, if you guys need any type of equipment, we do have equipment available for you guys, scanners, recorders, if you need that for any projects that you're working on relative to the AAHI projects and committees that you are engaged in. So definitely keep that on the forefront of your thinking. Again, if you need any supplies such as scanners or recorders or whatever the case may be, to help you be efficient in what you're doing relative to AAHI, we have those supplies that we can help you guys with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Christian. We appreciate that update. And thank you, Miss Simon. Well, unfortunately, we have not been joined by more committee members, but I think we could have a wonderful conversation today to just uplift one another and share some possible ideas. So Mr. Dara, Ms. Williams, Ms. Wilson, would you like to initiate our conversation here with any particular questions or things that you think we should discuss?
Well, the only question I have, the event at Coping Plus, what was that date? With the new citizen?
October 21st.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Ms. Wilson or Mr. Dura, do you have any suggestions or questions?
Not at this time. I am still interested in participating in one of your classes, so I do plan to try to participate this Friday. If you would send the Zoom link, and I would be interested maybe in partnering when you have your oral history class with interns to help me just get rejuvenated and started on more interviews.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy. We'll be so happy when you join. So I'll make sure, actually, I should send the link to everybody. So it's a welcome so people will have it, but I'll definitely send it to you, Miss Wilson. I'm excited. I can't wait till you come in. Well, a few things that I think we should think about. Number one is we still do not have a vice chair. And so I believe we really need to, once we have a quorum, even if we are able to vote over email, it would be great to have a vice chair. So if you're interested in stepping into that role, then you can nominate yourself. Another thing is that, as Dr. Christian has mentioned, we have a wonderful support staff from the city to really give us the support we need in effective ways, not just as a whole committee for larger official community events, but really for your individual goals and dreams for what you can accomplish for our community and for this committee. So I want to encourage you to reach out to them. They can help you with things like the machines, the different machines for recording, setting up meetings, creating agendas. And so let's remember that for each of us, I believe, Ms. Williams, we still need you to be appointed to one of the collection committees. But no one here needs to get the permission of me or Ms. Wanda or the wider committee if you have a project in mind, because you are the chair of your subcommittee, and you can invite people in the community to join you in the committee that you lead. And so we're here to support. So the broader committee of the staff, Ms. Wanda and I, we're here to absolutely support you, but you don't have to get the approval of all of us. You can move forward and organize the things that you think would, the kinds of events or meetings that you think would enable you to collect people's histories, pictures, documents, etc. So again, I'm always here for you, and I'll do whatever I can in my capacity to support your goals. But you don't need our permission, and you can independently reach out to Miss Simon and Dr. Christian and let them know how you would like to work with them in organizing your event. So just wanted to remind you about that. You're all wonderful. I moved here, but you're all natives, and you're all leaders and shakers in this community. You have such rich stories. So remember that even if it's just, not just, but it's your story. So thinking about the We Built This, if you have a story about a special building or a special builder that you knew, maybe your grandpa, your uncle, was a carpenter or a mason, or you had a family member who was an interior designer or involved some way, or you were part of a church community where all the children, the men and women, all participated in building that church or the meeting hall for the church. We know that happened a lot in our city. So your rich history related to the homes you grew up in, the neighborhoods you grew up in, the schools you went to, the churches you went to, etc. Those are rich stories, and I would strongly invite you and encourage you and try to inspire you to. I can't tell those stories, but you have those stories, and we can always start with the stories of our committee. So you might want to meet with Miss Erica Simon or Mr. Ronnie Christian and let them know, hey, I have this history. Would you be interested in recording me? And I don't need to be involved in that. I would love to learn from you, but I don't need to be, and you don't need the committee's permission. So I want you to think about that. Or we talked about family reunions over the summer. All of your families, since you all grew up here, your family members have wonderful memories and mementos, pictures, letters, anything like that that you would want to share. So it doesn't have to be something formal. You can have an informal but rich, wonderful, meeting with family and friends. And so I think there are a lot of ways we could start making some progress in collecting the kinds of materials that AAHI was organized to collect. If we return to our vision statement and our mission statement, I encourage you to do that. So the other thing is, being that we're moving back into COVID season, and most of us are I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I know I'm almost officially a senior, being nearly 62. But it seems that maybe the virtual meeting might be more convenient and safer. I love that Mr. Bobby made his way downtown today, and I think that's great. I wish I had, because I would have loved to have seen you in person. But we might want to think about maintaining the virtual meeting format. And we also might think about maybe having our meetings every other month rather than every month. Maybe that would help us to make a lot of progress on our individual and collective projects that we're doing on behalf of the committee, outside of our monthly meeting. And maybe we would have better attendance and start having quorums. So those are my thoughts.
I'd like to comment.
Yeah, please take over the conversation. I didn't mean
I don't know that I want to do that,
Mr. Bobby. So take it over, please.
I don't know if I want to do that, but I just want you to know that I'm looking for something to do. I'm not the kind of person who rides along on the bus and doesn't get involved with stuff. That's just not who I am. But I have to have something to work on. And so I want to be creating that with the committee, something that I can actually get involved in and begin to fashion into something that gives us a place to plant a flag in the sand. So what you don't know about me is I'm a product of St. Benedict the Moor Catholic School, and I went there for 8 years. And I still maintain conversations with my first grade teacher, who's still living, who's still in the convent, and my fifth grade teacher is there. And so I have a connection to the Sisters of St. Francis and the history that St. Benedict provided for students in Winston-Salem. And I do talk a lot with my former classmates. And that's just kind of the person that I am. I still talk to my high school classmates. So I'm looking for a way to bring something out of that so that it doesn't look like the Catholic school was some nebulous thing that sort of emerged and people sent their kids there and then that was that. There was more to it than that. I also went to Jack and Jill Kindergarten, which wasn't that far from St. Benedict, and Mrs. Evelyn Sellers was the teacher at the kindergarten, and she taught me piano lessons for the first 8 years of my life, in school. And so there is a rich history to tap into that would bring people a certain perspective about what life was like in that time. And when you said something about being the vice chair, I don't know that I want to be vice chair. It's not something I couldn't do, but I'm more interested, I think, in trying to ferret out the really important pathways with which people in the community got involved educationally and provided an opportunity for their kids to progress and be successful in life. And so that's kind of where I want to put my focus, but I definitely want to create something that I can work on and work at and begin to talk with folks in the community and really get a sense, a broad sense of how the community responded and reacted to having St. Benedict where it was, and and other kinds of educational opportunities. I was talking to somebody today about the Bethlehem Center, about Peter Pan Kindergarten, about Jack and Jill Kindergarten, and a lot of African Americans went to those institutions and came out and went to private school or went to public school, and my parents were teachers in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools for 35 years. My father taught driver's ed. He was the person that most kids hated to get because when it came to driver's ed, there's a thin line between living and dying because you didn't turn the wheel or you didn't hit the brake, and my dad was like the last person that was going to allow something like that to happen without making a difference. So I want to have more conversations with you, Dr. Villa-Gomez, about, where there's a need, what could I provide, and, and how can we bring something that will live on after us? Because at the end of the day, we're only here for a time and then we're gone. And so whatever we leave behind is that which folks are going to remember about what we actually contributed. So that's all I have to say. I'm glad to be here. I thought we were going to be in person, but I didn't check my email this morning. So Carla, that's why I'm here.
I need to start texting you again. And
something much like that, yes.
Thank you so much. I mean, when we first joined together, we had some great conversations.
Right.
And then, of course, we both had some health issues and family health issues and whatnot. But I think it's time for the two of us, because I really want to support you. And I'm so interested in the histories that you're connected to. So I'll make sure I call you. And we'll talk offline.
We'll have lunch.
Yes. Well, and the kind of things that I'm thinking about what you said is, there are various ways we could start really working on um, getting these histories and getting your history. So, you know, you could come in on a Friday and share your history with our students, and they could ask you questions.
Oh, I'd
Because
love to do that. Yeah.
I heard, you know, the church itself. So we have
Right.
the school as a building. You know, we have the sort of interesting ethnic relationships, because you told me that most of the nuns were of Caucasian background, but they were
Yeah.
very committed uh, to the Black children who attended. That's, I think, a very compelling story too.
Right.
You have the church building, the education building, and then all of those educational histories. And you're still in contact with people who went to Jack and Jill with you.
Yep.
So if you could organize even a few of your friends, we could have a meeting on Zoom and record everybody's histories. Or, you know, we could either our staff here and me and my students, or one group or the other, whatever would work best for you. We could meet you and your friends somewhere and bring our
Okay.
equipment. And Tom Flynn isn't on this call, but Winston-Salem State also has equipment, and he's always willing to record on behalf of AAHI. So there are a lot of ways, and it's really how you envision. If you want a project assigned to you, I would say yes, please.
Well,
I'm not the
you know,
boss here. I'm just you know, helping, and so I want to support you and I want to learn from you. So whatever would work best for you individually, and then for you and your wider network of friends and community. Yeah, let's get going on it.
and one of the things that that I would like to do is I'd like to do a lit review and find out where the work we're up to would be situated in the literature about elementary schools, Catholic schools, public schools. Where would that be situated in a lit review and in the literature? And what would that tell us about where to begin to push against what we don't know about it? Because I think that's important. And part of what we probably need to be attending to is a theoretical approach to how to generate interest in historical reviews of what people were dealing with and how they managed their lives around the circumstances. You know, there were times in my childhood where Winston-Salem was up in arms, and there were riots, and you know, and it caused some things to happen in the city that on some level needed to happen, but on another level, the violence went too far, and you know, and so there was fallout from that. So there is a way to look at a literature about it. Evans Hopkins, who's a friend of mine, wrote a book about what it meant to be a Black Panther and how he got involved and how he went to jail, and you know, and like that. And so you know, we're connected to people, but people don't have the whole story about what took place and why it took place, and how we get from that place to another place. And you know, in some ways in my life, I thought that we were moving in a direction that was positive for everybody, and we get stalled all along the way. You know, you'll go 5 years or 10 years and then stall out and not make progress. And it has the impact of causing segments of the population to give up hope and give up participation, because it doesn't seem to provide anything that they're interested in. And so all of those kinds of things are things that I think about. And so, like I said, I'm looking for something to do, because it seems like I haven't done anything since
No,
I
you did.
became a part of the committee. So,
Mr. Bobby, you're showing your University of Chicago history training roots. Those are
yeah,
some
well,
pretty
there's that.
high ideas. But I'll tell you,
Right.
you need to start coming to the Friday meetings. So right now, our interns are reading a new African American public history book. It's called Radical Roots. So we're always connecting the different kinds of specific Black public history projects like the one we have to the uplift of the community and to advocacy and reparative justice and activism against racism and oppression, etc. So I think you would like that Radical Roots book. I might be able to send you the PDFs. And you just mentioned some very important events. So I remember there was the event in 67 or 68 where we had, unfortunately, I forget the name of the gentleman who was killed, but we had our own George Floyd kind of situation, and there was protest. And last year, some of the Wake Forest faculty started generating discussions about that. And my chair and I, Dr. Nation and I, were interviewed. And we made sure to tell the Wake Forest journalist students, please don't call it a riot. Please don't call it an uprising, because these were legitimate protests because a Black man was murdered. And I believe it took place close to Happy Hill. So you lived through that and you remember that.
I remember that. Yeah,
Not
I remember
everybody
talking
wants
about it at school,
to,
about
not
how
everybody wants to talk about it either. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's true. But I remember talking about it at school, and the kids were like, what in the world is a riot and why did we have one? And I said, well, it was kind of simple. You know, the police hit the guy with a nightstick and killed him, and that set off the whole shooting match. And, you know, that was kind of a fourth grader's concept of what had happened, right? But it did get to something, and it was the something was when you have violence perpetrated upon civilians by enforcers of the law. Houston, we'd have a problem, and in Winston-Salem we had a problem. We had the riots, and you know, and then we got past that. But we have had all kinds of situations in this country where we have been forced to get past that which hasn't worked, and that leaves something behind that often does not get dealt with. And so I'm kind of interested in the resilience of populations in the face of things that disempower people. I'm really interested in that. So we'll see what we can work out. Friday's group sounds like a good idea for me.
Oh yeah, they would love to have you join. They would love to hear about, you know, your undergraduate studies and history. I can also send you Ingrid, Dr. She unfortunately we've lost her. She's transitioned, but Dr. Ingrid Dunstan, who wrote extensively about that event, she talked about how the gentleman would not have died if he had not been turned away from the original hospital emergency room, which was one of the hospitals that served the white community. He finally obtained the care he should have had from the beginning when he went to Kate B. Reynolds Hospital, but it was too late, and so he died from the injuries. And Dr. Dunstan makes the point that Winston-Salem was one of the centers for KKK at that time. So you know, it wasn't necessarily, I mean, that's why it's amazing when we see the resilience of our community, because there were some tough times. And I don't think we're the center of KKK activity anymore, but we have to keep telling these stories so that we can make progress as a community, and never forget those who really gave their lives, who died because of this oppression. And you brought up the Panthers. So one thing, Dr. Larry Little, who's now professor, retired professor, and you probably all have heard of him. And he's like my big brother. And he came back into our department meeting yesterday. So he was able to go to Tanzania this summer because the Black Panther Party established like a school there that's been there for decades. And he finally got to the motherland and was just so encouraged. So he has friends that put up the money, Panther friends who put up the money, and they're coming. So there's an event on October 25th to raise funds for that school. It's Mama C who will be giving the lecture and meeting people. Wake Forest is supporting it, and we're getting ready to organize something on our campus as well. But maybe Mr. Bobby, you and I can go to that. And that reminds me to remind everybody that Dr. Mike Wakeford from UNCSA and Muse, he would love to get this Panther project, oral history project, up and running. Lots of people have interviewed Dr. Little, but there are other people whose stories are so important, like Hazel Mack. And so maybe you would want to get together with some of your friends that were part of the Black Panthers and do a project there too, and show up for the fundraiser.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring a checkbook.
But I'll definitely call you and we can brainstorm, and
Okay,
I'm here for you. So
you do know how to reach me by phone, don't you?
if you haven't changed your cell phone number,
No, it's good.
then okay, then
Yep.
I still have your contact.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course, thank you.
Yep.
Well, Miss Sheila, Miss Annette Wilson, any ideas that I think we might be getting? Believe it or not, we only have about 14 minutes left. So even though we don't have a quorum, it's been an engaging meeting. So we have a little bit more time.
Just to give some information, I'm very interested myself in getting involved. Again, I don't have a clue, but I want to do something. But I need some more information. Now, definitely send me a copy of that link that you're talking about for the Friday class or meeting. I can check and see if I'm able to. Is it in person or is it just?
No, it's always on Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna always, it'll be on Zoom, and even next semester the oral history class in the spring, which will start meeting in January, it'll be face-to-face, but I'll have a few students that will only be able to make it on Zoom. So everybody in our committee could always come via Zoom, even if you couldn't come to campus. Obviously, the students would love to meet you all and see you face-to-face. You know, that face-to-face interaction is such a blessing, and I think they would be most inspired. But it isn't always easy for us to get together face-to-face. So, but for these Friday meetings this semester, it's always virtual. It's always on Zoom, and you're always welcome.
Okay. Yeah, if you all get this, what you were just talking about going, count me. Definitely count me in. And the conversation about Black Panthers, I remember a little house, I believe it was on 14th Street. I remember that when I was a little girl. And all of the duress that was going on during that time.
See, right there with you two talking about it, you know, that's a beautiful conversation to record. And I mean, it's about a serious and painful and horrible thing, but to talk about it, there's healing, and then future people and future generations, you know, most people have forgotten, and most people are not writing about those events, and we don't see it in the newspaper, and scholars aren't paying attention to it. But by the two of you having a conversation about that, then we can collect that, and so that people never forget. Because we want to honor our people who were oppressed and keep their memory alive. So if you guys want to come in on Friday and talk about that, that would be a wonderful way to get started with this. And Miss Sheila, the other thing is, I don't know if you have been appointed to a particular subcommittee. So I think we have a few subcommittees that are open now since we've lost some members. So maybe you and I can have a phone conversation and go online and see which of the subcommittees. It might be government, and I don't remember the other, but no, we've talked about those different collection categories before, but I think you would benefit from having your appointment, because then you could really get started in the projects that you want to do. That would give you a great anchor.
Okay.
I'll call you, or you call me. We'll get together. But even better, at least it would be even better if, well, everybody who's on this call from our committee, if we could all get together, even if it's virtual.
That'd be fine.
That'd be great. And another thing that came to my mind is, I think the more that we can get out to these official events, like when there are historic markers being put up, Ms. Wilson's part of that DE or the historic marker committee with HRC. So she is always there, tries to be there. But those are going to be wonderful events. When we hear about those, it would always be great to have at least one person from our committee, even if you can't record anything that day. If you could go and sign people up and get their contact information, and then staff, myself, my interns, Mr. Flynn, we can reach out to those people and work with you to collect their whatever they have and their histories, etc. So I know I'll keep a ear open, and I know Miss Wilson will as well, whenever any more of those events for the historic markers come up. So that's another thing for us to collectively remember and try to use those events to grow our network and contacts with our community. So is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about, brainstorm about? All right, well, I believe then that we can close out our meeting for today, but I promise to send you the Zoom link for Friday, and I'll be in touch, or reach out to me, reach out to the staff. And we're all here to help one another, and our staff will really help with organizing the use of equipment, agendas, meeting times, etc. So I know they're eager to support us, and I'm eager to just help you achieve your dream for this committee. So thank you again so much, everybody, and I look forward to being in contact with everyone. So please take good care, stay well, and stay safe. You're a blessing, and you're all wonderful, and I'm so blessed to be a part of this group. So thank you. Bye-bye.